meeting to order. Amy, if you take the roll.
Mayor Bogenruth,
Here.
Ms. Berhoop. Here. Ms. Hoffman.
Here.
Ms. Strain.
Here.
Mr. Tucker.
Here.
And say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we'll look for a motion to approve the July 6th meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, Commissioner, Department Head, and Community Board reports.
Good evening, everyone. Andrew Nell just came here to give you an update on the Housing and Redevelopment Commission. Last time I was here to talk about HRC, the group was kind of coming out of hibernation, so to speak. The group was still working through new board appointments and just reorganizing, re-energizing, and getting its feet underneath it. So since then, there's been some good momentum at the HRC. They have a housing study that's underway. We're anticipating that being done in October. So right now, the Augustana University, they're going through the process of doing stakeholder interviews, research, looking at demographics and so on. And we're anticipating some initial findings in August with the first draft in September, and then the final draft, which would be then a presentation in front of the commission in October. So that's going to be a really important study to show us what gaps are still out there in terms of housing in North Sioux City. So looking forward to seeing that. But that's still on track and moving forward nicely. A couple other things that HRC is working on is Habitat for Humanity. They received a donated house from here in North Sioux City and reached out to HRC to collaborate on relocating a house and doing a habitat project in North Sioux City. We currently have an MOU that just got executed with Habitat. That basically just spells out who's responsible for what. It lays out a timeline for the project and just kind of makes clear of what this path forward could look like. It's not legally binding, but it does set the expectations for each party and would eventually transition to like a legally binding like a development type agreement. But in the meantime, I would set the expectations for both sides so Habitat could then have some more confidence to go out and do fundraising, seeking services, donations, stuff on that. On those lines, on HRC's end, it would have some more confidence to start planning, looking at platting the lots, and just preparing for that project. It was mentioned at a previous meeting looking at a site on the north end of Penrose, kind of to the west side for this. That's still just, it's fairly preliminary at this time. It's kind of what we're thinking conceptually, but it would still need to be ultimately come through the city commission for that project. So that one's coming along. Separate in the similar area across the street. There'd be still a vacant lot, which the city owns. We're looking at a couple different ideas. One could be a governor's home, another a partnership with the Home Builders Association. They have a partnership with Western Iowa Tech to build one home a year. So HBA, they acquire lots, one a lot a year. Western Iowa Tech, they come in and they build the home and then they sell it. So that could be a good opportunity for partnership as well. And then another one, the last one I'll mention is we're still kind of in the early stages, but we were contacted by a landowner who wants to do affordable housing. 21 lots is what they're looking at. And so they've reached out to HRC to hopefully engage and collaborate to help bring that project to fruition. Again, still pretty early, but we're going to be meeting with the landowner next week to hopefully set the stage to get an agreement in place for HRC to take the lead on that. So it'll be a really good project if and when it materializes. So a lot of good activity. It's fun to see HRC come from, they did so many good things over the years and then kind of lost a little bit of steam, and now they're being re-energized, so it's exciting to see and be a part of. So just wanted to come and provide a little bit of an update.
Cool, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, one thing I would say, I compliment Andrew and the HRC staff, or HRC members. They're really starting to push some projects up the ladder, getting them towards development, and I think they'll make a really good impact on different housing opportunities. Maybe not the ones that we've seen in the past here, but something a little bit different. Having an HRC allows us to be a little more innovative. They're having a nonprofit status, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what can happen in 2027 with the HRC.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else on community board?
I'd just like to extend the thanks from Parks Board to the fire department and the police department. We had a great ice cream social last Tuesday. We served 132 items. I tend to count things, and I know there were several that didn't eat, so we were well over 150 people who attended that event. The children really enjoyed and were very inquisitive about the fire trucks and the police car, and so that was a great opportunity. And we have one more of our summer series for the ice cream social that will be August 12, and it will be at the new dog park. That'll be our grand opening of the new dog park on Streeter Drive.
Yay. I've been watching the progress.
Even though we have had a few people use the dog park, just kind of checking it out, but I think it's going to be a very nice addition to the city, and our group has worked very diligently to make sure that we have several items in the park for our furry friends, and I think that'll be a great start to maybe there will be other parks that the board and other members with us can put together.
Thanks, Lynn. Anyone else? All right, moving on to community input. If your item's not on the agenda, please come forward.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Anna.
Thank you very much for getting that dirt mound moved out of the yard. It is so much nicer to mow now,
That's
so
Rusty.
really appreciated that. My husband had a question. He wants to know when the sidewalks will be done. Will they be done at the same time as the street?
Yeah, they'll be done during the same process.
Yeah, the initial focus will be the mainline paving and getting the street section done, and then we'll follow up and do the sidewalk. That section of trail directly in front of your house, there's some old storm sewer pipe that has to get removed from that area. And that has not yet been done, just because we didn't want to disturb the temporary access road.
Right,
So that'll probably be one of the last stretches of trail
Okay.
installed.
okay.
But it will be, as soon as they can, after the street paving stuff.
And then I was wondering, is there any way that you guys could maybe put down some water to cut down the dust a little bit? Because it's really, really
Yeah.
intense.
Let Ross answer
We
that.
talked about that last week. I know that, they went through this a couple times with water truck, but we haven't addressed it.
Okay,
It's been really
really
hot and dry and.
dusty, yes, okay. All right, well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Robert Baker, 109 South Derby Lane, North Sioux Self-Storage. I thank you for your time again. I'll only take just 1 minute. I just got a couple things. I have some answers to Mr. Dooley. We had my project came to the planning and zoning in 2020. It was not approved or denied at that point in time. It was reverted back. Engineer John Brown, Gary Rowan, and Eric Christensen took that over, and they took it in, they approved it all, got me a building permit. That's how that process went through. So no one did anything that went against the planning and zoning or anything. That's how that was done. One other thing, at that point, I actually proposed that we stretch off that little piece of property that I'm talking about right now and make it a separate piece of property. And they suggested, no, it's all one continuous piece, and we're going to approve this project as a continuous piece of all that. And I've got emails, documentation, texts, all that to back all this up. There's another thing that when we had all this, the right-of-way was not vacated when my project was started at the time of our project. And that may have had something to do with it, but that was done. And right now, I proposed another plan for my building, which is a third of what I originally was intended on doing with that. And that's been sent to Ross and to Mr. Dooley. You know, and what else? I guess, you know, everything's been on the up and up. I came here last time and I left here feeling like I was accused of something and trying to do something that I wasn't approved to do. I've got all the emails, all the documentation. The right-of-way back in 2020 had a serious issue, and it still does. That's why I wish the city attorney was here tonight, because it never got answered. And it was proposed that the city was going to buy that piece of property because there was an issue with the right-of-way. And we still have that outstanding, and that hasn't been answered. So we need to answer that at some point in time. You know, I'd just like to get this thing moving. We've been doing this since January. You know, I sent the proposal in January. Gary got back to me January 23rd, said he was going in for knee surgery, and we'd have to wait on that. And then, you know, the note I got back was that these plans were in accordance with the plans to build when we originally did the plan. So, I mean, I'm getting that information back from the city and from the individuals in the city, and you know, we're not making any progress on this. I mean, I guess I sent that new plan. Like I said, it's a third of what it was before. It has nothing to do with right-of-way. Everything sits, and the size of the building, and I got accused of making a threat. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Is the same size of what I can put up for storage units and containers on that property and not have to do anything else. And I don't want to do that. I want to make a nice building and make it fit in with the neighborhood, fit in with the city. I don't know, I guess the last thing, you know, I sent that in, and 10 days after our last meeting, I get a message that says, we are, what's that say? We are looking at it and we'll be in touch. So that's the last message that I got 10 days after our last message. So, you know, the biggest thing with that, the point that I want to make is just from January until July, we haven't made any progress. Hopefully we can make some progress. And I got a good note from Ross that we can maybe get this thing through. And I appreciate your time. And the biggest thing, like I said, I wanted to bring today was the fact that if you want to see all the emails and the documentation of how this all went down when this was originally built, you've got them. Eric Christensen had them, which he's not here anymore. Gary Rowan's got them. You know,
If you don't mind providing that for us, that'd probably help. Because what I was talking about was I read it in the minutes that the Planning and Zoning Commission rejected it. I don't have anything else beyond that, so provide it. And I just, for the record, I did ask Ross to examine his plan. He's in the process of doing that, looking at it from a setback standpoint, from a drainage standpoint, and from a pervious versus impervious standpoint. And we'll see what we can come up with. It'll probably still have to go through the variance process. But, you know, a 2% deviation from storage is 1 story, 50% is a difference. We've got to figure out where that's at, and so we can tell the planning commission what the deviations are. And so we'll work through that process.
the engineer's name was John Brown at the time. So, you know, if you, I don't know where he was from, if he was from the same place Ross
From
is.
Stockwell.
Yeah,
Provide that stuff to us and we'll take a look at it.
yeah, but that's the man that was behind all that, so. All right,
All right.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Anyone else? All right, if not, we'll move on to the agenda. First item is Safe Streets for All presentation by CCOG and FEH.
Good evening, and I think there's a presentation on the slides, so.
Yeah, in the meeting packet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, in the packet itself?
So my name is Greg Ewell. I'm with Felsberg, Holt, and Olivig Consulting, or FHU. We are a sub-consultant to Houston Engineering, which was the prime consultant on the project. This is for what's called a safety action plan. So we're talking about transportation safety. And let's see if you keep going past, are the slides in there too?
Yep.
Jeff, okay. Yeah, let's go past this and we'll come back to it. Here we go. So, Safe Streets for All. What this is, the Department of Transportation created in the last highway bill a program called Safe Streets for All. And I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I think it's a pretty good program. The intent of the program is really to focus on where are the severe injury crashes, where are the fatalities, and really focus in on those. And by doing that, you can, move the needle and really try and make a difference there. So they put out grant funding. You may recall that North Sioux City, along with a lot of other communities in southeast South Dakota, raised their hand, said, yes, we'll participate in this through CCOG, Southeastern Council of Governments, that applied for the grant. So this is, the planning analysis is very high level for the overall region, but then we do drill down and did a little bit of work looking at North Sioux City. So in the kind of the whole approach of this is looking at a couple things. One is, like I was mentioning, looking at the engineering side of it and where those crashes have occurred and what are some of the engineering solutions. FHWA has actually identified, they're called countermeasures, so different proven things that have been shown to be effective safety measurements. So looking at those, and then we also do a public outreach effort as part of this. So perhaps you went on the website, CCOG put out a website and asked people to go chime in, and they could drop a little pin on the map and say, here's an area where I have a concern. We did have a public meeting, so opportunity for the public to come in. I think, was that like maybe March or so, is earlier in the spring that took place. So we've been going through this process. The study, as I mentioned, overall is a regional study, so it's looking at overall southeastern South Dakota and what are the places that really rose to the top, but then we also do this little local effort as well. So go ahead and continue there. So we highlight as part of this, and you do, if you have the plan, there's actually a map. So it's a two-sided local plan, kind of a plan on a page. It's real kind of short and sweet. You have some background and context about the community. You have some different data about vehicles available and things in the community, what we heard, again, at a high level on the public engagement from North Sioux City, and then the crash analysis of what types of crashes are occurring, how many, and that sort of thing. On the back, you have a map here that shows there have not been a massive number of, thankfully, of severe crashes. So there were 9 crashes that resulted in injury. This is of a 5-year data set. 1 crash that qualified as severe. 0 crashes involving bicyclists and pedestrians in that data set. So again, you can see a map with the red dots. Those are those crashes. And then some recommendations. So again, this is high level, and I would think of these as really looking at areas and kind of a menu of different things that could be done in the area. So as we looked at both the data and sort of what we were hearing from the public, these were the areas that rose from the top. There's actually some cost estimates and whatnot. Those are very conservative. Again, you probably for each of these would want to do a little bit of a mini study before doing some actual projects. But the first one, and these aren't necessarily in a order of worst or whatnot, but the top one that came up is River Drive here, from the interchange, kind of clear over to this side of the corridor. And if you look at the crash data, you can see there's a fair number of crashes there, some issues there kind of with the interchange configuration itself. So looking at that area and looking at operational improvements that could be made, turning conflicts where you have queuing, you can have some better sight distances and things of that nature could be done along that core River Drive and then Derby Lane as well. The next project or area of concern, you might want to think of it as the Highway 105 corridor, and I understand there is a project underway already up at North Shore Drive. So this one's kind of like well underway. But again, looking at that, just the pedestrian connectivity in that area, there's a lot of driveways, very common for roads that were built in that time frame. But looking at that whole corridor and looking at the access management, rail crossing coordination, and a number of things that could be done in that area. A couple more areas that came to the top. So this, you can see, this is kind of the whole residential area over there, Lakeshore Drive, Streeter Drive. Some of these are called out, but it's really just that whole area. And again, this is not one where we had a ton of crashes reported, but it came up more so through the public involvement. So looking at walkways and trails, looking at crosswalk visibility, are there areas where pedestrians feel uncomfortable or there's some concerns there? Lighting improvements, potential bicycle facilities, things of that nature. And then the last project, if you will, is South Point Road. I think some of this is actually outside the city itself, but growth area. And looking at future traffic, access, turning, and intersection needs there on South Point Road was another area. The last one I'll mention is a speed limit study. So looking at speeds across the community, we saw that speed limits change quite a bit, and so it might be a good project to look at as a whole, kind of comprehensive, making sure you're having consistency in the speed limits, looking at the signage, different things you can do like retro reflectivity on the stop signs to make sure those jump out at motorists. So that might be another project worth considering. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide then. So a big part of the reason why you do a study like this is it sets you up for grant opportunities. There's a number of federal grant opportunities. Of course, top of the list is the Safe Streets for All program. That was the program that funded this. So this is a planning grant, but you can also then go and apply for an implementation grant. So if one of these projects resonate or one of these areas and you'd like to move forward with that, you've got CCOG is able to help assist with that, and this puts you in a good position to go apply for that. There's, of course, a number of other federal and state grant opportunities that are listed here that could potentially be areas to tap for trying to get some funding to go do some projects. And then here is just that plan on a page. So again, if you see anything, catch anything, let us know if there's any comments or questions on this. But if nothing else, this gives you, if folks come in from the community and say, hey, have you ever looked at these issues? Has anybody taken a look at this? You've got kind of an outside perspective. Here's some of the areas that it could use a little look at and maybe get some improvements made. So, and there is a resolution, which I don't believe is on the agenda tonight, right? But that's part of the program is that the communities are asked to participate in this to sign off to adopt the plan. Basically say, yes, we adopt this plan. We agree with the guiding principles. It's not a commitment that you're going to move forward with any of these projects or committing any funding or anything of that nature, but it's just saying we agree with the goals and the principles of this plan and are adopting it as our local safety action plan. So I think that's kind of the overview. Yeah.
Just make a comment. I really appreciated this process because it took in considerable amount of public input and combined it with crash data, other metrics, to try to rank some of the projects and some of the problems that we have. A lot of times you think there's a problem based on perception, and then you have to add data to it to give it some credibility and move it forward. I see this as being part of our capital improvement plan moving forward. Some of the items in here, as you all have a chance to look at it and prioritize it, we focus a lot on water, sewer, road infrastructure, but traffic is a big part of that. Just this year, we replaced all the control panels for all of our streetlights, which will give us better programming flexibility and that kind of stuff, but all that has to be done with data, traffic counts, that kind of thing. So we do have to spend some attention on the traffic part of our capital improvement plan, and this should give us a start. Now, I would see this going to Stockwell, and Stockwell helping us vet some of these out based on what you guys want to do, and then we'll build it into future capital improvement plans.
I think this came at a really great time because we've had a lot of traffic safety concerns, a lot of people coming to us and talking about areas that are growing throughout the town that need some help, so it's good.
I agree.
Thanks, Greg.
Very good. Can I ask, did the areas that we talked about kind of resonate with what's
Yeah,
on your radar? Okay.
yeah.
And the changing of the interchanges is going to change some of that, but that doesn't mean we can't address some of it now. We don't want to put a whole lot of money into something that's going to be changed later, but it's something to consider.
Yeah, probably the biggest one we've heard maybe is River and where Streeter and Sodrec meet River Drive.
Yes.
With all the new housing going on, and it's a three-way stop today. That's one that has come up quite a few times.
Right. Because along Sioux Point, the fourth one on your list, there's a new housing development being built, which is going to increase the population, and people are concerned about what traffic's going to look like once it's populated. So, good deal.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, you bet.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all right, appreciate it.
So we'll bring the resolution back to the next meeting for your
Okay.
consideration.
All right, next item is flood recovery, North Shore reconstruction update.
Okay, I think, you should have my engineer's report that I prepared for this week's meeting. I guess start off with North Shore Drive reconstruction project. The contractor's been working hard to kind of get back as close to schedule as we can. We were impeded by some private utility relocations over the last couple of weeks that did slow some progress on controlling items. But Mid-American really came and committed to working with us over the last week to facilitate as many crews as they could devote to this project and take care of gas lowerings and relocations that needed to be done. They were working most of the day Saturday to complete that work, which will allow us to continue kind of on our, quickest path towards getting concrete down. So with that, the utility contractor completed virtually all of the remaining utility work with the exception of 2 hydrant extensions that will be done tomorrow with a coordinated shutdown of the water main on North Shore. And then after that, the only work left is for the grading contractor to continue grading to the west end of the project, doing cement stabilization of the subgrade. And then directly behind them, Reedy, as the paving contractor, will be following up with trimming the subgrade and prepping for paving. I think, we're looking at as early as Friday for a paving day. I'd say more likely to be Monday or Tuesday of next week, just because there will be some significant setup. And we always find some surprises right when they show up to pave. So hopefully if they can continue on that schedule and get pavement down the end of this week, early next week, we should be on a path towards having an open street and at the bare minimum, completed paving in front of the school by the start of the school year. So that's kind of our ultimate goal. Our substantial completion date, is even further ahead of that. I don't know if we're going to hit that or not. But I think right now our biggest focus and goal is just to get the pavement done prior to the start of school. And then they can work on driveways and trails and other restoration items after that. Any questions on North Shore Drive?
One thing I would add is, I do want to thank Mid-American Energy. They really stepped up and got some resources allocated to where we needed them in a short period of time, so that was hugely helpful. And then the other thing I would just want to say is, once they start paving, you know, with the heat and stuff, they may be starting pretty early in the morning. That's about all you can really do when it's that hot, so I would just ask for a little patience while they try to get that concrete down.
Okay, nothing else on North Shore. I'll jump to the flood property grading project. So Lieber mobilized in again earlier this month to try and complete as much of that project as they could. The first kind of core area of that project, as it was originally bid, was on the far west of our North Shore Drive project. That work is more or less complete with the exception of seeding and some erosion control. Right now, Lieber plans on waiting a few more weeks. Hopefully the temperatures get back to a reasonable level and will facilitate some grass to grow once they get it planted. The other area of that project is on the far east end of North Shore, near Leisure Lane. That area, some of the grading work has started. They did remove some of the debris. They pulled as much of the material out of the lake as they could for now, but they will have to come back at some point when the water levels get a little lower, probably this fall, to complete that rest of that grading work and placing the riprap. Then the flood property grading project phase 2, which encompasses the area north of North Shore Drive and then a few of the other lots. That project really hasn't taken off yet. We did have a meeting with the contractor last week to just kind of plan and get an idea of when they wanted to get going on that. It sounded like they're waiting on a project elsewhere that's going to provide a lot of the fill for that north area to get going. And it sounded like that could be in the next couple of weeks when that's going to get started. And I think, the indication they gave us is that once they get that process going, there will be a lot of dirt coming, to that area in a very short amount of time. And I think we'll see that. When it does take off, it'll go quick. But just hasn't started yet. Any questions on those two projects? Okay, otherwise, River Drive and Centennial Drive lift stations, we're well underway on design of both of those. River Drive, I think, has been at a 95% complete state with plans submitted to the DANR for review. And the DANR will review those once we have our funding source selected. Centennial Drive lift station, we progressed to approximately a 70%, 80% complete state. We're working on getting final plans ready to go over the next couple weeks to get to that 95% complete and submit those to the DANR as well. And then otherwise, the North Shore Bypass project, we had a couple meetings over the last couple weeks with the state and the project team. I think, right now they're looking at bidding early fall is the earliest expected bid date, but we'll have a few plan revisions to make prior to that bid and one remaining piece of property to acquire. Union Crossing construction observation, we're complete with the commercial and residential phase 1A. We have received plans for phase 1B of the residential, and there is a pre-con coming up for that project to get going this, late summer, early fall, but I don't have any dates or anything on that.
Yeah, I think there's a ribbon cutting August 6th?
August 6th
August 6th,
for phase 1A.
Okay.
with tours of homes too.
Otherwise, we've been working on designing, or design standard and zoning regulation updates. The first kind of batch of those ordinance revisions will be going to the Planning Commission this week for their review and recommendation for approval to the City Commission, pending review from Sarah on some last little clerical items. And then we'll have other batches of those revisions and design standard updates coming throughout the next couple months. And then, we've been working on various forest count work, helping with exhibits as needed for, the Habitat Project, some of the housing development projects, plan reviews, plat reviews, that sort of thing. But, that is kind of a quick summary of my engineer's report for the week. Any other questions on that?
I just looked it up. It's at noon on August 6th.
Okay, if not, then I think the next item was the pay application for North Shore Drive reconstruction. So this is a pay application number 3 for Reedy Construction, Inc. in the amount of $514,476.14. A lot of this is the utility work and a little bit of the grading.
I'll make the motion to approve the pay request as presented.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, move on to change order number 2.
Okay, so this is a change order that came into play a few weeks ago. As we were progressing with the grading and utility work to the west end of the project, we encountered the existing water main that was at an elevation higher than what we expected it to be. We had concerns about potential for freezing, so we made the recommendation to insulate a large portion of that water main. And then there was one little section about 40 feet long that was in conflict with our proposed storm sewer elevation. So our recommendation there was to lower that stretch of water main, which included a few bends, reconnections, and the sleeve. And along with that, to kind of balance out those increases in quantity and increases in unit prices, we had some items that we knew we were not going to use. Some things that we incorporated into the project in the bid, just in case we ran into unstable conditions. So we deducted 450 ton of trench stabilization riprap with this change order, and then 125 ton of 3-inch ballast rock. So that kind of balanced those, the increase with the decrease, and resulted in a net negative change order of $148.60. And with this change order, there is 5 additional days added to the contract for Reedy, just based on the additional utility work we are asking them to do. So, any questions on that?
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. First time I've seen a negative change order.
Hopefully there will be another one coming at the end.
All right.
We'll get there. All right.
Okay, thanks, Ross. I think you already covered the grading project phase 1, so we can skip that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then next is CDBG and EDA updates.
Yeah, I just would like to say that those are in the final phases, or final stages of consideration, and hopefully we'll have some grant agreements to approve here in the next couple meetings. And that will clear the way for us to start the bidding process for sure on the 2 lift stations, Centennial and River Drive, and then also North Shore Bypass.
All right. Next is land transaction. Resolution 2026, authorizing acquisition of additional real estate for economic development.
Yeah, this is for the piece of property that the city bought during the flood, and we want to deed this over to the
Economic development.
North Sioux City
Corporation.
Economic Development, for them to hold, as they hold a lot of our commercial properties. We will reserve an easement over it for the next 5 years for the purposes of staging, not only for the projects we're currently doing, but also for the North Shore Bypass project.
Is that the resolution ending in 21 or 22, Jeff?
21,
I think it's,
or is it 20?
I think that's 22.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, I gotta go a step back. 21 is for a resolution to purchase the fireworks property out there that's owned by Beton Brown. We talked about last week in the executive session.
Okay, we need a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, and then going back to Resolution 22 would be the
That's the one. to
northwest
transfer.
corner of the interchange there,
Yes.
exit 4.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2026-22.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, move on to financial, June 2026 report.
All right, from May to June, our cash balance is down $400,000. Looking at the operating side of things, we had positive operating cash in June of $174,000, and year-to-date, that's 1.9. Our capital and financing activities was a negative 641 for June and 2.4 year-to-date. So that is a decrease altogether in June of 450,000 and year-to-date of 467,000. Sorry, this part didn't get put in the packet, but I had the budget information to show you guys. We do have a request out for bid for a new computer for in here. So we're just waiting on that. So the budget for, this is the general fund budget, and we're halfway through the year, so we would expect to see the percentage used around 57 or 50%. We're at 47. There's a couple departments that are at or close to 100%. That's due to some expenses only being paid once a year. Looks like we did a little more mosquito spraying in our West Nile. That's over. So far, I'm really not seeing anything that would be anything more than a contingency transfer. If we look at water and sewer, our water revenue, we're at a little over half of what we budgeted, so that's right on track. And water expenditures are at 57%, so a little bit over. We have 31,000 of capital outlay that was actually budgeted for last year that didn't get finished up and paid until this year. And in addition to that, just some of the insurance stuff that's only paid once a year. So not really sitting bad there either. Sewer revenue, we're at 52%, so our revenues are spot on to what we budgeted. Sewer expenditures, we're only showing 16%, but that's because of this large capital outlay that we have budgeted in here for the lift stations, so. Garbage, we're at 50% of that too. I think G&K may be a little slow getting us their bills, so this 37% is not 100% accurate there either. And then beyond that, our sales tax revenue. So this is a 20 through 25, what our actual revenue has been, and this is the only information we get on it as far as classifications and where it's coming from. But in 2020, we had 3.1 million. 2025, we were up to 4.5 million in sales tax revenue. We budgeted 4.4 million, and we are projected right now to be, I don't know, around 5.5 million. So our sales tax is way above what we budgeted. So that's good news.
Maybe just point out a couple of the ones that are a lot higher, from 25 to 26 projected. Wholesale trade,
Wholesale construction's up quite a bit, wholesale trade 555 to over $1 million. And retail trade is also up over $1 million.
all good signs from, you know, some of the things that we've been doing and getting going. If this sustains itself, it will be a good sign of success, that we're getting what we're trying to get out of that. If you could go back a little ways, I just wanted to explain one thing, all the way back to your financing activities on the cash flow statement. Right there. If you look at capital projects, it's a negative 2.2 million, which is a huge part of that cash use there. But some of that will be reimbursable by DOT through the Federal Highway Program for North Shore Bypass. So it's a timing issue right now. It looks a little worse than it is. We just have some pending requests at the state.
That's all I have other than the bills.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. And then we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that, after conferring with Amy with one correction in the financials, that I would approve payment of all the bills.
When the packet was sent out, we had the payment to Reedy Construction going to Stockwell Engineers. So that has been fixed.
All right.
I'll second that one.
Is that a new motion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.